Good morning, folks. Adventure here. I'm on my way to Atlanta, of course. Been on the road since about 4:10. This morning's video is another tale. It's a tale about some experiences that have shaped my life over the years. Coming up, working in a power industry, the power industry. Things I've witnessed, things I've experienced, how it makes your life different. It hardens you up. It puts a little fear in you from time to time, but it changes your thinking. I'm a very safety conscious person. That's why I'm still doing safety. I'm a safety observer. I'm a contractor, but I'm a safety observer for this power company. They brought me back out of concern for things, wanted me to go out daily and visit the crews, see what they're doing, see what kind of stuff they're not doing as far as safety wise. So I started when I was 23, and the power industry, it's a very dangerous industry. It's a very dangerous way of life, especially if you don't wear your PPE or go by the safety policy. Safety policy is written in blood. That's what we always said. It's written in blood, and it's true. It's written in blood. So, started a power plant. My first experience with death, destruction, or whatever. We started a coal power plant. We had a coal train that would come in, dump the coal. Had a guy get between the train, and he got both his legs cut off, and he bled to death. So all that blood, saw all the blood on the track and on the gravel. So that was a very early experience that kind of shook me up. I've never seen anything like that. I was 23 years old. I'd been working since I was 18, but I'd never seen anything like that. It just, it really left a lasting impression. So, went on and went into distribution, went into the line work. Ended up in underground, doing underground work, underground transformers and all. So, over the years, I would see things on the job. We'd have people, have electrical flashes or get shocked or whatnot. And, when you have an electrical flash, it involves some fire. It's about a 10,000 to 30,000 degree heat. So sometimes they would get burned. They'd get a 3rd degree burn, 2nd degree burn. And, it makes you run. I literally would run, and all my tools would fall out of my back pocket. So that's one of them things that you see that really is really terrifying, and you run from it. You can't run from it, but so your coworker gets burned or shocked, or and if you get burned, you're going to the burn unit. That's never good. I was very fortunate. I had a pretty stellar safety record. I had a couple little deals that happened. One of them was we were working one night, and I got hit in the eye with a screwdriver. Knocked my safety glasses off, and ended up in the emergency room with a cut on my eyeball. So, I had little things. I got shocked a few times, and never really nothing big time. But I saw a lot of things happen to other people, and I had a co-worker. He was on a ladder. We were out on the job. He was 15 feet up, and he fell. was his fault. He'd done something. He didn't have the ladder set up properly. He fell 15 feet, started screaming. He was screaming and yelling and hollering in pain. So had to get the ambulance, call the fire department up there, and we couldn't do much. We didn't move him. We just tried to talk to him, try to make him as comfortable as we could, and so he ended up, he was out of work for a while, about 6 months, but came back. But he was one of these guys that were very unsafe when he worked. And as time goes on, you'd see things. I actually went to funerals of coworkers, and the hardest thing about that is when you're at the funeral and you watch their family come down, and their kids are crying, and family's crying, their wife's crying. He's gone. He had an accident on the job that took his life. So you see that, and you see his family. It impacts you. We had a young guy lineman. He got burned. He was burned over 95% of his body. Not going to go into details, but so he was in the burn unit in Atlanta at a hospital in Atlanta for like a month. He lived a month, and when I was in safety, I ended up being a safety advisor for the power company. Did that for 8 years. Then I went into supervision. But as a safety advisor, you're always involved with accidents. You're always investigating them. You carry people to the hospital. You carry people to the doctor. Stuff like that. And so when that happened to him, they put his family up at the hospital in a room. So that was next to where he was at in the burn unit, and we knew he wasn't going to make it. We knew that his life was over with one way or another, because he would never had any quality of life, because he was burnt over 95% of his body. His ears were even gone. So we had to sit there. We had to do 12-hour shifts and stay with the family. So when you're sitting there and his wife's there and his mother's there and his dad's there, and they're crying, and his mother cried a lot, his wife cried a lot. He was newly married, 25-year-old guy. His life was just snuffed out. 25-year-old. And sitting there, it's hard to sit there and watch that. It's hard, and it really impacts you. It really leaves a lasting impression on you. Said 2 co-workers' funerals. A lot of people get hurt. Seen them get hurt. Got called in one night, and I went in and at a substation, some guy decided he was gonna try to cut some copper wire so he could take it and sell it. Well, he goes in the substation, him and his buddy. Well, he cuts a hot cable with some cutters, and it blew him off the frame of the substation where he'd climbed up, and it blew part of his hand off, and part of his hand was laying there in the gravel when I walked up, and a bunch of blood, where I guess his arm was spraying blood out, because it blew part of his hand off. And then the police found the other part of the hand outside the substation where his buddy helped him over the fence. He was burnt bad. He was burnt bad. His clothes were laying there, the ashes from them, where they'd burn off of him and stuff, and this is 1 o'clock in the morning. I get woke up and I had to go in there, and that was, you walk into the substation, that's the first thing you see is a piece of a hand laying there, and blood and burnt ashes from clothes, so it stuff, and it's like, you just don't know how to take it in right away, So you just have to kind of sit down for a minute and kind of get your composure, you know, it shakes you up pretty bad. So, you know, that's stuff. Electricity will, I mean, it will kill you. It'll burn you up. You know, had guys, you know, had a close friend of mine got burnt. You know, he had a contact. Contact is when the electricity goes through your body. And it caught his clothes on fire. And he was in the burn unit. Went up there and seen him, and you know, his face was burnt, 2nd degree burn on his face. His leg had 3rd degree burns. He had 2 children. He made it. He made it through it, but he never came back to work because he was diagnosed with PTSD. He just couldn't go back. He couldn't face it no more. He just said he couldn't do it. It's too traumatizing. So, good friend of mine, I talked to him from time to time. Me and him was good buddies. You know, so you know, stuff like that affects you. You know, I've had co-workers get hurt. I've been hurt. Nothing on me serious, but you know, co-workers get hurt, get shocked. You know, close calls, a lot of stuff. But it leaves an impression on you when you do that kind of work for a living, and you see people get killed, or you see things that, you know, that are just, people get injured. And because when I was in safety, you know, I was always having to carry somebody. You know, I'd get a call at 2 o'clock in the morning where a guy had rolled his truck over, so I had to go to the hospital. And, you know, then you have to, you know, you always have to contact their family. You know, he didn't die, he lived through it, he was fine, but, you know, you have to be there with his family. And being a safety advisor, you have to investigate the accident, you know. So I was always involved with employees and injuries, you know, taking them to the emergency room for different reasons. It could just be a hurt back or an injury to something, you know, you take them. You know, going on hurricanes. I'm sorry I'm yelling, it's early in the morning, but you know, going on hurricanes and tornadoes, you know, you always saw a lot of misery and a lot of people suffering. You know, went on Katrina, and when Hurricane Katrina hit, there was people that thought they could ride the storm out. And you cannot ride a Category 3 hurricane out. I don't care what you say. You can't do it. You're not going to do it. I don't care what you say. You can have a hurricane party. Yeah, people have hurricane parties, and they sit there when the hurricane comes in, and I think it's just the dumbest thing ever, because you got a Category 3 or 4 or 5 hurricane come in. A 2 or 1's not too bad, but you got a Category 3 or up, and you stay there, you're gonna die. I mean, you're probably gonna die, or you're gonna get injured. So people in Gulfport, it came in and it just destroyed everything. So there was people that stayed, and we got down there to restore power, and we could smell this smell, and the smell was dead bodies. It was dead bodies, and there was bodies floating in the water, because people decided they were going to stay, and the wind came in and destroyed their house or whatever they were in, and they got trapped in it. So then the storm surge came in and washed all of that debris up, all that rubble up. It washed it up into a pile, and there was piles of that stuff everywhere, and there was bodies in it. So you could smell it because they started decomposing. I mean, it was just a horrible smell, and they would bring the cadaver dogs in, and they would find the bodies, and they'd get them out. You know, we watched them get them out. We watched them get them out of the water, and watched them get them out of the rubble. You know, and you're sitting there, and you're down there to help these people, but some of these people just didn't make good decisions, and they stayed there, and they lost their life. You know, we saw a lot of dead animals, dogs and stuff. Just a lot lot of tragic things, misery and stuff, you know. And on storms, you know, you got dogs running around. I've been bit by pit bulls, you know, and you know, had to hit them with stuff. I always carried me a piece of wire with a nail in it. A lot of people say, well, how could you do that? Well, you know, you got a dog that hadn't ate. He's roaming around. He's a free roaming dog, and he comes over there to bite you. So it's either you getting bit, getting a bad bite, or you get him off of you. So I chose to get him off of me. So, you know, that's part of it. But, you know, I've been bit on a job before, so doing that, you know, and we've had guys get bit, get bit in the leg and had to go to the hospital and stuff, you know. But, you know, there's a lot of tragic stuff. And I've seen a lot of things coming up in the power industry, and things that'll really make you think, shape your life. And I'm a very safety conscious person now. Even at home, you know, I'm very safety conscious. I wear my safety glasses, weed eating. I'm wearing my seatbelt right now. I try to drive the right way, you know, do the speed limit. Because you got enough crazy people out there driving now. But I've seen a lot of stuff over the years, you know, a lot of people get hurt, and you know, you don't never want to be the safety person that has to go to somebody's house and knock on their door and talk to them, tell them their loved one, you know, is in the hospital, or you don't want to make that phone call. You know, it's a hard call to make. Or being a supervisor, I was a supervisor for a while. You don't want to have to tell a family or tell you know, that you've had to take them or had them transported to the hospital. You know, we've had to life flight people. You know, when you get life flighted in a helicopter because of a burn, you're not in good shape. It's usually a 3rd-degree burn. 3rd-degree burns are bad. You know, I've been to burn symposiums and stuff, and that's why the crew guys now wear FR. I wore FR clothes. I got them on now because I have to go out on the job and being around it. I have to be around electricity still. So, you know, life is, you know, of course, life is full of dangers. Every day you get up, you know, the most dangerous thing you'll do in life is drive. That's the most dangerous thing you'll do. The company I worked for had a poster of all the names and dates of fatalities. Had them hanging on the walls as a reminder of all your co-workers that had been killed. And we always said, you know, each year that started, we don't want to add another one. We don't want to add another one. So that's why I do safety. You know, it's something I've got a passion for, that I want to keep people from getting hurt. You know, even when I was a supervisor, I had a saying: I would rather you lose your job than lose your life. I would rather you lose your job than lose your life. And that's a true statement. But life's full of stuff like that. We got to get up every morning, and you just don't take life for granted, because you just don't know what's going to happen to you the next day or what's coming your way. So you need to be thankful for the day you have, and be thankful that God woke you up, and you know, pray and thank Him for what you got, for what, you know, that you got another day, and be ready. You know, if you do, something does happen to you, you know where you're going. You know, 'cause we're not guaranteed a tomorrow, and there's a lot of things that come at you during the day. Depends on what kind of job you have. I mean, we've had people lose their fingers and arms and legs and getting burnt off and cut off and stuff, falling off of poles, you know, dying that way. Just a lot of stuff over the years. You I always tell my wife I'm surprised I don't have PTSD. Stuff I've seen, but I don't. It just toughened me up. It toughened me up and made me more of a safety champion. So, the moral of this morning talk is just, pay attention. If you work in a hazardous job, pay attention to what you do. Watch your co-worker. If you're just driving to the store, driving to work, be aware of the other drivers. But the main thing is be thankful. Be thankful that you're alive and living. God has blessed you with that. Be thankful for that, because we don't know what each day is going to bring us. So life is tough, man. Life can be hard. I'm blessed in my life. God's blessed me. I'm 63 years old. I've lived 63 years. I'm healthy. I've been in a hazardous job over the years. Worked a hazardous job, and I'm very fortunate, very blessed. So just remember that. Thank the one that gets you through the day, and you know who it is. God bless y'all, and y'all be safe out there. George Adventure here. If you like this video, leave a comment. Appreciate you liking my channel. I'd appreciate if you subscribe, hit the bell. And remember, folks, be sharp, keep your blade sharp. God bless.